Welcome back to another explainer by Forge College. Okay, picking up right where we left off in our last lesson on network efficiency, today we are tackling the literal, physical envelope of Bitcoin's throughput. Basically, we're looking at how much data actually fits into a block. I mean, if you've ever found yourself wondering why we can't just cram a million transactions into a single block and call it a day, well, you are definitely in the right place.
Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover the Bitcoin highway, rules of the road, the witness discount, packing the lanes, speed limits and potholes, and finally, synergistic effects. Let's get right into it. Section 1. The Bitcoin highway, a mental map.
To make sense of block capacity without getting totally lost in the mathematical weeds, I want you to imagine the entire Bitcoin blockchain as this massive, sprawling highway. The lanes, they represent our aggregated block capacity over time, the actual physical space we have available for traffic. Now, every vehicle on this road is a transaction. Your older legacy transactions are kind of like those massive, heavy transport trucks. Or, think of those huge SUVs hogging up 2 parking spots. They just take up a ton of space. But on the other hand, thanks to protocol upgrades, our newer SegWit transactions are like these highly optimized compact sports cars. It's the exact same payload, but with a completely different footprint.
Moving on to Section 2, Rules of the Road, Protocol Level Limits.
So a highway without rules is really just a parking lot waiting to happen, right? To keep traffic moving predictably, Bitcoin enforces some very strict speed limits and vehicle capacities. Before the SegWit upgrade, the hard limit was incredibly simple and incredibly strict, exactly 1 million bytes per block. But today, the absolute maximum weight a miner can pack into a block is exactly 4 million weight units. Notice I said weight units, not bytes. That distinction is absolutely crucial. Look at how this beautifully illustrates that transition. We moved away from a straightforward raw byte limit of 1 million bytes over to a much more sophisticated protocol using block weight, which is capped at that 4 million unit mark. And from that, we derive a third term, one you've probably seen if you spend any time looking at block explorers, virtual size, or vsize.
So what exactly is vsize? Essentially, it just maps this new 4 million weight limit back to that familiar 1 megabyte scale. You literally just take the weight and divide it by 4. vsize is the actual metric your wallet looks at when it's trying to calculate how much of a fee you need to pay to get your car onto the highway.
Section 3. The witness discount, Bitcoin's fast lane.
Let's see how the SegWit upgrade took these rules and essentially created an ingenious fast lane for our highway. Under SegWit rules, not all bytes are treated equally. The protocol effectively discounts witness data. That's the cryptographic signature proving you actually own the Bitcoin. This witness data gets charged a VIP rate of just 1 weight unit per byte. Meanwhile, all the heavier core transaction details, those are going to cost you 4 weight units per byte.
This creates a massive financial incentive for what we call packing efficiency. Because witness data is cheaper, users are strongly incentivized to structure their transactions using SegWit. Going back to our highway analogy for a second, if more drivers switch from those heavy, multi-lane legacy trucks over to those compact, witness-discounted sports cars, you can fit way more vehicles on the highway without having to actually pave a single new lane. It is just a brilliant way to mathematically scale throughput.
Section 4. Packing the lanes, from the mempool to blocks.
Now, what actually happens out there in the wild during a massive traffic jam? Say, a sudden surge in market activity that just completely fills up the mempool. Well, miners in this scenario act a bit like greedy toll operators. And hey, I say that affectionately. When the mempool fills up, miners immediately grab the vehicles offering the highest fee per virtual byte. They pack their block right up to that 4 million weight unit limit and then broadcast it out to the network. The network nodes then act as the highway patrol, right? They rigorously verify all the math to ensure the block is perfectly legal before letting it pass.
The math on this is genuinely fascinating. Check this out. If everyone is sending these bulky transactions that average around 500 virtual bytes, the network tops out at roughly 3.17 transactions per second. But if users craft smaller, witness-heavy transactions that drop the average to 250 virtual bytes, boom! The network's throughput practically doubles to over 6 transactions per second. The physical block size limit literally never changed, but the overall efficiency absolutely did.
Section 5. Speed limits and potholes, the scaling trade-offs.
Okay, so if we all want higher throughput and lower fees, a very logical question comes up. Why not just hard fork the code and make the highway infinitely wider? It's a really tempting thought. But arbitrarily scaling a decentralized system is never that simple, because it comes with some brutal physical trade-offs in the real world. Heavier vehicles and wider lanes mean larger blocks, and larger blocks take significantly longer to propagate across the global internet. This added latency completely spikes the risk of orphaned blocks, which is when two miners find a block at the exact same time and the network temporarily fractures. Plus, bigger blocks mean massive road maintenance costs. Everyday node operators would suddenly need these massive, incredibly expensive enterprise-grade hard drives just to store the blockchain history. And we definitely don't want to price regular users out of running a node.
Which brings us to Section 6, Synergistic Effects, Achieving Maximum Network Capacity.
This right here is the absolute holy grail for Bitcoin protocol engineers. And honestly, your core takeaway for today: achieving massive scaling synergy without breaking the network stability. When you combine protocol-level packing rules, like that SegWit discount we talked about, with network-level optimizations that speed up how fast data travels between peers, you get this beautiful multiplicative effect on actual throughput. You are essentially optimizing both the vehicles and the road surface at the exact same time.
What's really interesting about this quote from our source material is exactly how it ties everything back to our previous explainer on efficiency. You cannot just change the physical block cap in isolation. It just doesn't work. You have to optimize both the data packing at the transaction level and the transport relay at the network level.
So as block space inevitably becomes increasingly precious, what new protocol upgrades will alter the vehicles we use on the Bitcoin highway next? Will it be taproot optimizations, rollups, something we haven't even thought of yet? I'm going to leave you with that to ponder. To crack open the hood and explore those future upgrades, be sure to visit forge.college to continue your journey into the fundamentals of Web3. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer by Forge College, and I will catch you in the next one.